I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of Beyond the Fear podcast, a place where y'all come for motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and overall positive message. I'm your host, DJ, and today's episode was inspired by a session that I was having with my therapist. Because she was telling me, we were talking about how I always feel this need to be there for people, be there for my friends, so they can just kind of vent or whatever, talk about the things that they're going through, whatever the case may be. And sometimes, it becomes draining, it becomes overwhelming, it definitely can consume you, especially when, you have your own things that you're going through. And so she was just telling me, you have to have those tough conversations and, so I guess I had a look on my face and she was just like, I know those conversations can scare you a little bit because you don't know how they're going to react. You don't know how they're going to take it. But you gotta trust that they can handle it. You gotta give them more credit than that. Don't be afraid to have those tough conversations because you don't or stop assuming that they can't handle those tough conversations. Stop assuming that the people, your friends, co-workers, loved ones, whoever it may be, stop assuming that they can't handle those tough conversations because that tough conversation might be exactly what they need to see things from your perspective, and you trying to avoid them or trying to avoid the conversation, just making it worse instead of you just having the straight conversation with them, the real conversation of, you know, hey, I'm drained, or hey, I'm going through my own things, or man, does every single conversation have to be about complaints? Just have the real conversation with them about how you really feel, what you really think, what you're really going through. And you don't have to be just disrespectful about it. There's a way to have those conversations without, the disrespect and the rudeness, because at the end of the day, that's still, those are still my friends. But, just wanting to have that conversation. And so, I kind of took what she said to heart because, you know, she's been right, so far. And I wanted to, and I don't want to mess these friendships up, but I also don't want to get weighed down by the heaviness of everybody's burdens. So, I took her on at her word, and I was just like, you know what, let me just give this a try. And I had a tough conversation with one of my friends, and they completely understood where I was coming from. They didn't even realize they were doing it, because we had gotten into that realm or that mold, whatever you want to call it, that comfort zone of I'm the person that they can come and complain to, or that they can vent to. And I just let them know, hey, I don't mind you venting. Like, let's, you get it out, whatever you're going through or whatever. Then let's, move the conversation forward, or let's talk about solutions. But I don't want to keep hearing about the same thing in that same conversation. Once you say it all out, once you get it all out, then you want to start from the beginning and say it all over again. It's like that part becomes draining. Now, if you just want to say it and then we talk about it, we see, what's going on, that's different. That I don't mind. I don't mind like trying to help you fix a problem or trying to help you work through a problem. But if all you're going to do is just talk about the problem and no solution, there's nothing to gain from it. You just want to stay in this place of self-pity and wallowing in, and trying to focus on things that you can't control. I don't want to stay in those places because that becomes draining. So they completely understood, and since then we haven't had that issue. It's literally just been, hey, is it cool? They've literally been asking, hey, is it cool if I, vent? Can I vent to you real quick? And then they'll vent, and then we'll either move the conversation to something else, or we'll talk about a solution, things that they can do to fix whatever they're going through. And then, then we move on to the next subject. But it's definitely helped because I stopped being afraid, or I stopped assuming that they couldn't handle the conversation. They couldn't handle us having a genuine talk, a real talk, an adult talk about what's going on, what I'm feeling, what I'm feel like I'm being put through or whatever. And so I say all of that to say, don't be afraid to have those conversations because you might be going through something very similar to what I'm going through, and people need to hear it. That's another thing that she said. Sometimes adults need to hear how their actions are affecting you because they may not know or they may not care, and they may have gotten comfortable with treating you a certain way because you didn't say anything or you haven't said anything. So stop being afraid to have those conversations. And yeah, some of those conversations may lead to confrontation, but you still got to have the conversation because this might just be everyday life for them. You know what I'm saying? But it's leaving you drained. It's leaving you miserable. It's leaving you upset, annoyed, frustrated, all of these other emotions that you're having because of how they're choosing to treat you, and you're not saying what you need to say. So it's time to start having those conversations because it's not going to stop, especially if they're comfortable treating you that way, or if they honestly don't even know. Like in my case, where some of my friends didn't even know that they were doing it, that they got so comfortable with the fact that, DJ's always going to be there. DJ's that person that I can go talk to and I can get advice from and all of this stuff, that I just became the dumping ground, what I'm saying, for everybody's negative and toxic emotions. And there was no concern for how I was doing or what it was doing to me, not because they were bad people, but because I wasn't speaking up. I was welcoming the conversations. And even though I knew what it was going, even when I knew what was getting ready to come, I still picked up the phone and I still you know, engaged in it. You know what I'm saying? So I gave them every single signal to say, okay, this is okay. He's cool with it. He understands. There's no problem here. And so sometimes your silence is exactly that. Sometimes your silence is your acceptance. Your this is okay. It's okay to do this. I'm not bothered by it. It doesn't do anything to me. I'm perfectly fine with it. So sometimes your silence is the battery that they need to keep going. It's the thing that they need to say, okay, this isn't affecting him or her. If it was, they would have said something by now. And so it's time to start saying something, if it is bothering you, if it is affecting you, if it is doing something to to you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, whatever it may be. It's time to start speaking on those things. It's time to start saying, hey, I can't, something's got to change. Something's got to give. I can't keep doing this. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're like me, you know, and the crazy thing is, right, I know that I'm not always good with hints. People might be dropping hints, but I'm not always good at picking up on them or understanding what you're hinting at. So I just would prefer a direct conversation. And it's so crazy because it's like, I got to do the same for other people because I might drop a hint here and there, but if they're not getting it or they just not good with it, like how I am, they're not going to understand what I'm trying to say. So I have to do a better job of just having those direct conversations. That way, there is no misunderstanding. There is no misconnect with what I'm trying to say. I just have the direct conversation with them about, hey, this is draining. This, I can't keep doing this. We got to switch some stuff up. Can we have some lighter conversations? Like I'm dealing with my own stuff and then having to have the weight of your stuff put on top of me. It's a lot to carry those loads, every single day, week to week when we have our conversations or whatever. I just need something else. I just need a break from it. Like, or at the very least, just say, ask me how I'm doing before we start to engage in all the stuff that you got going on, because I understand you have a lot going on and I understand that you need to vent, you need to release, and I want to be there for you. But there are times when I'm just going through my own thing and I cannot handle it. I cannot take what I got going on and try to carry what you got going on, especially when what you got going on has absolutely nothing to do with me. So that's a lot to, put on my shoulders. And, once we started having those conversations and we started really talking and they started to really understand things from my perspective, because again, to be fair to them, they didn't know, they didn't see it like that. They saw it like, I was welcoming it. I wanted it, because we never had the conversations. And so, and that's just kind of like when I realized, like, nah, yeah, we it's better to just have those conversations because, like I just said, I'm not good with hints, so I can't expect everybody else to be good with hints. So just sometimes you got to be direct with people about how they treat you or what you're going through or how they make you feel or whatever the case may be. If it's a conversation that you need to have with somebody, parent, friend, whoever it may be, have those conversations because sometimes they have to hear it because sometimes they don't know. Like, I know I say it all the time. It's so hard to get past your own pain. It's so hard to see past your own pain. It's so hard to see. It's so hard to see past what you're going through to see someone else's pain. So you don't see what you're doing. You don't see what your actions are doing to someone else, or someone else may not see what their actions are doing to you because all they see is what they're going through. And so sometimes you just have to stop for a second and, let them know what their actions are doing to you and how it's making you feel and what it's putting you through. And if it doesn't change and they still on it, then you might have to rethink, whether you need that person around you or not. But at the very least, have the conversation so that way they know and give them a chance to show you that, hey, I hear you and I can change how I'm doing things because I don't want to keep affecting you in this negative way, but you at least want to give them the opportunity to show you that they can receive, the message and that they can adjust, to helping you out. Cause at the end of the day, if they love you and if they care about you, they want what's best for you, then they'll try to, you know, change some things around, but I also understand that that's a process. If they've spent years just using you as an emotional, I'm just using me as an example, dumping ground, it's going to happen from time to time, but that's when I have to step up and be like, hey, just to let them know, hey, you're doing it again. And, most of the time, them not all the time, they adjust. They're like, okay, my bad. Let's talk about this or let's do this. So, because they have years of conditioning. I let them do it for so many years, and now it's like they've been conditioned to think that it's okay to do it, and it's not their fault because I allowed it to happen because I was scared to have that conversation. And so now that I realize they can handle the conversation, I have no problem with letting them know, hey, you're doing it again. Or, hey, let's pivot. Let's have another conversation or are you ready to talk about solutions? Because I don't mind helping my friends out with problems. I don't mind being there for them. You know what I'm saying? Because I understand the importance of having people around who can just hear you and who can help you, who you can talk to, who you feel comfortable talking about the things that you need to talk about. I understand the importance of those things. So I understand the importance of the role that I play in a lot of my friends' lives. And I want to be there for them. I genuinely want to be there for you. And sometimes genuinely I don't have answers because sometimes those problems are way above my pay grade. And so sometimes, I have to be like, hey, have you ever thought about therapy? Have you ever, I'm saying things like that because sometimes those problems are just too big for me to handle. And I have to be, honest about that. But I do want to be there and play my part. And if my part is just somebody that they can talk to and bounce ideas off of for solutions, I can do that. And I want to do that. And I want to be there for them. But I also have to understand that I can't take on everybody else's problems and leave no room for my own. I can't be there for everybody else and leave no time for me to be there for myself. I had to realize how much of my energy, my emotions, my time doing all of that was taken. And I didn't realize that and I didn't understand that. until I started going to therapy and realizing that I was taking on other people's problems. So even when we got off the phone, it wasn't like their problem stopped for me. I'm still thinking about it because I'm either thinking about how annoyed I am or I'm thinking about how frustrated I am and things like that. And these problems have absolutely nothing to do with me. I don't know these other people, never met them. These situations aren't affecting these aren't things that are going to affect my life other than me holding on to it mentally because I'm dealing with it every day because they're talking to me about it every single day. And I had to realize how draining and how much extra pressure that was putting on me. And so, it prompted me to have those conversations. But I had to realize, though, I didn't even realize what it was doing to me. I didn't realize how much it was tearing me down mentally and emotionally until I started going to therapy and she started asking me the questions and she started asking me the whys and, you know, and all of this stuff that I started to realize like how much it was starting to break me down after years and years of doing it. And so, again, it became important for me. I finally realized that number one, it was a problem because in my mind before the therapy, it was like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm being a good friend. I'm being there. I'm being supportive. So in my mind, I'm doing it the right thing. And I wasn't even realizing that, there are other ways to be supportive or, a part of being supportive is also understanding that I have to take care of myself in order to help take care of you. I have to be there for myself in order for me to be in a space where I can be there for you. So there was that part it was understanding that part that taking care of myself in order to even be in a position mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually to help you or to listen to you or to give you advice or whatever. I have to take care of me first. I got to take care of home first. And so once I started to truly realize that because I know I've said it before, but it wasn't something that I truly thought about. I truly gave much time to until I started going to therapy and realizing that no, I need those breaks. I need those times where, I can talk about something else and have that refreshing feeling of, okay, this person's calling me and it's not about drama. It's not about mess. It's not about, complaining. It's just about, something good. Something good has happened. Some good news, a new job, an opportunity, whatever the case may be, how refreshing that is and how good that feels to just have this person who is normally like it's normally like quicksand for me. I know those calls are finna, as soon as I get on that call, I know I'm finna go down quick because of the quicksand. But to have that call and it be some uplifting stuff, it be, I just got a raise or I just got this, I just got that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or even if it's none of that and it's just, man, how your day going? What you up to? I'm just chilling a day, I'm taking a day to myself. Like those type of conversations are chill every day, nothing to complain about, nothing's going on. What some people call a boring day. Those were amazing conversations for me. And it was like it made me realize like how weird and how negative of a place that I have to be in with people to have to where quote unquote boring conversation was peaceful. It was exciting. It was exhilarating to have those boring conversations where they don't have anything going on. They just want to check up on me, see how I'm doing, just bored and might just want to talk. Ain't got nothing really specifically to talk about, but just, just want to be on the phone with somebody. Man, those conversations were a blessing for me. And it was just like, it just showed me that, okay, yeah, I'm in a bad space with this person. And even though this person is supposed to be a friend, I get a lot of negative emotions when I see that number pop up or when I see their name come across my screen. And it was like, okay, I have to do something because I can't put the blame on them. I allowed this to happen. I allowed this to get to this point of where I'm feeling like this and they're feeling like it's okay because I've given them every single signal that it's okay because I've had chances to say, hey, let's switch some stuff up. I've had chances to say, whatever, you know what I'm saying? To say all of these things like, can we switch some stuff up? Can we get out of the negativity? Whatever the case may be. But I didn't do that. I engaged with it. I openly engaged with the conversation, engaged with whatever they had going on. So I let them know, I gave them several signals like, this is okay. It's not a problem. It's not a bother. Don't worry about it. Keep doing it. And so I can't now get mad at them now that I see how draining it is. Only thing I can do is let them know how draining it is now that I see how draining it is. So that's what I did. And it's changed a lot of relationships. Most of the relationships, it changed for the better. A few of them, we don't really talk anymore. And that's okay too. I don't take it personal. I completely understand because, again, if I've been an emotional dumping ground for you for years and I've given you all the signals that that was okay, and now I'm telling you I can no longer be there for you, and now I no longer have a place in your life because my place was to be that emotional dumping ground, and I'm telling you that I'm no longer want to be that. And in your mind now, that means that, well, you no longer have a place in my life. I can respect that. I truly can. I think at the time that some of those conversations were happening, and the realization of, okay, that means now that I don't really talk to that person. Sure, that was like, being honest, being transparent. It did sting a little, because it's like you're there for this person, and you rock with this person. So of course, you seeing this person through a lot of ups, a lot of downs. And the moment you start doing some things for yourself, that person, just kind of goes away. Of course, it sucks. Yeah, I'm human. So, I'm thinking I have like real bonds with people. So once you start to realize those bonds aren't as strong or as real as you thought they were, of course it hurts. But at the end of the day, I respect it. I understand it and I respect it. And if that's what they need to do for them, cool. I understand it. I respect it. And now I got to start doing what's best for me. And a part of that is having those conversations and also accepting what comes from those conversations. And if us never talking again is part of what has to come with that, then so be it. I own that. I own that. I'm trying to take control of my life again, and I understand that not everybody's going to be accepting of that. And you have to be okay with that. You have to understand that there are going to be people when you have these tough conversations who aren't going to understand it, who aren't going to accept it, there are going to be some who even have this mindset like, oh, you think you're better than me, or you think that I'm beneath you. And it's like, you know, I don't know where they get that from, but those are going to be things too. And you just got to understand. I mean, obviously, I'm not telling you not to have those conversations to try to explain everything to them, but just understand that there are going to be people who will hear you when you say, hey, no, I don't think that. I don't know where that's coming from, but I don't think that at all. I'm just trying to get myself together. You know what I'm saying? And there are going to be people who already have that in their minds, who already believe that that's the case for whatever reasons. And that's okay. You got to let those people do them. You can't sit there and try to, I mean, you can try to, but don't stay in that space of, you're trying to plead with them and you're trying to get them to understand, like, that's not what I'm trying to say. That's not what I mean. I'm trying to get you to understand this and I'm trying to get you to understand that, because they may have already decided who you are. They may have already decided where they want to put you now that you're taking control of your life. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be okay with, whatever comes with that, So if that means that y'all don't talk as much or y'all don't talk at all, you gotta make peace with that, because what that's telling you, or what that told me when it happened to me, is you have no problem when I'm doing what you want me to do. when I'm feeling whatever space you need me to feel or you want me to feel. As long as I'm feeling it, we're good. But the moment I'm telling you, like, man, this space that we're in is causing me emotional and mental harm, and I need to take control of my life back. I need to take back control. So can we just switch it up? Can we have some positive conversations, or can you just, at the very least, in the beginning of the conversation, ask me if I can handle that, or just ask me how I'm doing. And if I'm letting you know, hey, it's been one of them days, then can we just chill? Even if that means we got to get off the phone and you just give me a couple of days, and then, we try to have a conversation again, cool, but at least have some type of understanding for me. And, and then all of that, and then having that conversation, it just showed me that there was some people who only wanted me around to be able to dump their issues on me emotionally, and that was it. That's all that I was for them. In the moment that I was no longer willing to just occupy that space, or even occupy that space as much as I used to, it's like, nah, man, I want to have other conversations besides all the wrong things going on in your life, all the messy and negative things going on in your life. And and like I said, it was a tough realization once I started to see how people started to fall back, and how some people just started to disappear. Like, the fallback wasn't so bad because it gave me time to breathe, and time to, just collect myself. So the fallbacks weren't really that big of a deal, because that's what I was looking for. But the people who just fell all the way off, and just disappeared, it was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Because you thought that that bond that y'all built over these years was a lot stronger than that. But you know, sometimes you got to see that. Sometimes you have to see that to see people for who they really are, or what they really stand for, or what you represent for them. You know what I'm saying? So everything happens for a reason. So don't be afraid of that either. Don't be afraid of the people who fall back. Don't be afraid of those people who fall off. You know what I'm saying? Embrace that. Also embrace the people who fully understand, and still calling you every day, but it's like on some different type of energy. They just wanting to be positive, and they wanting to ask, are you okay? And they want to see what you got going on, and they're wanting to be there for you, because I also had that. So I want to make sure that I big those people up, the people who, when I had the conversations, they were like, man, I didn't know that you were going through that, but man, I'm glad that you're going to therapy. I might try it, man. And keep going, keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you. And they just showing me a lot of love and a lot of support. And now when they call, one of the first things, how's therapy going? How are you doing? How's your mental? So you have those people too who will hear you and will be some of your biggest supporters. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't all negative. You do have those people who will love on you, who will support you, who will um be there for you and engage with you in different ways to try to show you that they want to be here for you. So, man, trust me, man, have those tough conversations. And yes, some are probably going to end negatively, but you are going to get those ones that are positive. You know what I'm saying? And hold on to those. Hold on tight to those. The people who hear you and they want to know how therapy's doing. They want to know how you're doing. They want to constantly check in on you and see how you're going, see how you're doing, because they didn't look at it like that. They just looked at it like you the strong one, right? They don't feel the need to check up on the strong one, because the strong one always got it. You always got it. Every time I come to you, you got the right answer. You got the right this. You just have it. Whatever it is, you got it. You're the strong one. There's no need to check on you. And sometimes you gotta let them know, like, even you gotta check on the strong friends too. You gotta check on the friends that were always checking on you, on checking on everybody else. Sometimes you got to turn around and check on them too, and make sure that they're good. And you probably do have a lot of people who can check on you, but they just don't feel the need to, because they don't know what you're going through. And sometimes you got to let people know that, hey, it ain't always sunshine over here. I got my things going on too. But have those tough conversations. Let people know what you're going through. Let people in. Let them see the real you. Let them know that it ain't always smiles and sunshines like what they see on the outside. And sometimes, it's storming on the inside. But you got to be willing to let people in and let people know what you're going through. Because if they never know, they never know. Like if they don't know that it's wrong, if all you're doing is accepting it and embracing it. And that was something that I had to understand and I had to take accountability for, was that I wasn't letting them know, hey, I can't handle this. I need something more than just the negativity. But that's a part of having those conversations, and don't be afraid to have them, because they're worth having, because you're going to see some people fall off, but you're also going to see some people step up in ways that you never thought that they would step up for. You never thought that they would even be capable of, because you never gave them an opportunity, because you didn't talk about what you went through. But that's it for today's episode. I want to thank everybody for listening on whatever platforms y'all are listening on. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I want to say thank you to y'all as well. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until the next time that we talk, man, y'all be blessed.